Ezekiel was a priest and a prophet, two vocations which are usually mutually exclusive. He was taken to live in Babylon in exile by Nebuchadnezzar. And much like Noah, and I urge, how many have seen the movie Noah? You may or may not like it, but I urge you to see it. Okay? Much like Noah, Ezekiel believed and he preached that God was going to wipe the earth clean of all foreign nations, which by this time included Israel, because they were off in diaspora, and to start over. He believed that Israel was particularly erroneous, having broken their covenant with God from the beginning, and so deserved special punishment. So this prophetic piece of dream poetry, read so beautifully by our presider today, about dry bones in the valley, followed by something he didn't read, which was a description of a new utopian society living by the rules of the Torah of the temple, is remarkable from this guy. It was all doom and gloom before this. And it was composed after the gang was hauled off to Babylon and were in dire need of consolation and something to hope for. We modern readers tend to focus on the dry bones, having heard the song in Sunday school and on folk albums forever. And you know the song? The bones connected to the, but I never remember which one's connected to what. So, thank God I'm not a doctor. But there are actually several different images, not just dry bones, offered by Ezekiel. Multiple ways to imagine the dead as they are being restored. There are the dry bones. The bones come together, bone to its bone. There were sinews on them, and flesh had come upon them, and the skin had covered them, but there was no breath in them. So laid out on the ground before Ezekiel are skeletons which have been dressed in body parts, but are not breathing. They are inanimate, yet filled with potential. They are the pod people. Then there is breath and animation. The breath came into them, and they lived and stood on their feet, a vast multitude. The text actually calls them the slain. As these dressed skeletons breathe and stand up, what we are looking at is a battlefield filled with long dead warriors come to life again. They are the walking dead. But they are more than that. They are the whole house of Israel. Meaning not just the ones in exile or diaspora, but the ones still back in Judah and Jerusalem, practicing a deformed religious life under occupation by foreign forces. It's everybody. Everybody. But as if that's not enough, Ezekiel goes on. Thus says the Lord God, I'm going to open your graves and bring you up from your graves. Great. We got pod people, we got the walking dead, and now we have zombies. But wait. I will put my spirit within you, and you shall live, and I will place you on your own soil. These zombies will be humanized by the spirit, the breath, the ruach of the Creator. Be transported back to their homeland and given another chance. Now, I know where they got the idea for the zombie movie, Warm Bodies. Has anybody seen Warm Bodies? Okay, interesting. Maybe I'm the only one that goes to see teen love movies. Teen love zombie movies, which is what this was. The spirit breath in the movie is the power of love, a very spiritual equation. That power which restores us to community and a full life. The biblical version is less metaphorical, which is hard to imagine, but essentially the same. And our text makes sure that we understand that what animates the zombies is identical to what animated Adam, the first human, a mud creature filled with spirit breath. It's the same stuff. What Ezekiel is describing then is the repopulating of a new creation. Do we recognize the theme? A new creation. Heard it before. We begin in paradise, and humans mess it up and are thrown out of the garden. Within 10 generations, we humans have made such a mess of the entire world that God drowns most of us and starts over, hoping we'll make better choices this time. Then we do it again, and mayhem ensues. Armed invasion, exile, occupation, the works. Ezekiel is beside himself with prophetic holy rage. mitigated only by his priestly pastoral occupation. And sure enough, a remnant does return to the land promised by God. Only to mess it up again, right, Frankie? Okay, and be invaded again over and over and over again. So you got the repetition here. I was just trying to spare the kids the full impact of that, but maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I shouldn't. By the time Jesus shows up, the promise of a new creation in the future sometime is a dusty old idea. And he puts a new twist on it. Hey, the new creation's already here at the supper table among this motley group of people. We create the new creation every time we get together. Not just a minion of 10 men, okay, which was the rule at the temple. You had to have 10 Jewish males over 13 years of age in order to worship, right? But he says only 2 or 3. And he says people, they don't have to be men, could be women. And they don't just have to be socially acceptable souls, they can be scum of the earth too. Which includes all of us, right? We create it by how we treat each other. The spirit breath of God turns all of us zombies into children of the one daddy, Abba. We are family. Or there's a song, you can all, we are family. The new twist also tells us that we don't need temple priests to tell us how to do it or to speak to God for us. See, that's why that's the people's office over there. Because I'm not in charge of this place, okay? The new creation is directly downloadable, right here and now. Try it, you might like it. Very cool. Of course, we humans, even those who bought into the Jesus movement, continue to make bad choices. Every few generations brings slaughter and invasion and exile and occupation. The Crusades and the Holocaust come up repeatedly as examples of human evil at work, corrupting and destroying any signs of a new creation. To these we can add terrorism in any form, the kind practiced on us and the kind that we practice, including human warfare wherever it is raged and waged. And we must consider the global economic plague. Now listen to this sentence. I wrote the sentence down, but it didn't come from me. We must consider the global economic plague, often personified by capitalist, corporate, sociopathic personhood, which is not only forcing a slow genocide through the impoverishment of whole nations of humans, but dismantling the physical substructure of our planet, engineering a new no-eyed catastrophe destined to finally wipe the place clean of our half-living zombie selves and start over with primordial soup, hoping that what crawls out this time might appreciate the quality of life that it has.
That's a mouthful.
Shoot. Who wrote that? I don't know who wrote that. It came out of my hand, but no.
Oh, okay.
Who knew? There wasn't even a period in there anywhere. So, okay. You really must see the movie Noah, okay? And it helps if you're a Russell Crowe fan. He's fabulous.
Even if I think Lane is?
Yes. He's fabulous. But in addition, the film is a multi-layered biblical interpretation for our time. It's not like these attempts to take the Bible story directly out and go literal, literal, literal. This is an interpretation, weaving together the obvious and conflicting value systems engendered by the 2 creation stories in the Bible. Relentlessly pointing to our Cain and Abel and Seth. We always forget there was a third brother, Seth. Our Cain and Abel and Seth-like hearts. The choices we make which make us who we are. And begging us to stop now. Stop slaughtering each other, stop destroying the garden, and step into a new creation before it's too late. It is a moral fable, and you've got to see it on the big screen if you can, because it's a science fiction mythology complete with special effects and the most amazing fallen angels you've ever met. The Bible meets Lord of the Rings extravagant. And that's what it seems to take these days to capture the imagination of bored and disaffected urban populations and maybe engender a more enthusiastic response than Al Gore's documentary, An Inconvenient Truth. It's a little more powerful because it uses our imagination. As for us, we have a choice. In every moment we have a choice, and I keep telling Peter, you have a choice. That one was not so good. You have another choice. And what we choose makes us who we are. Will we choose to be a new creation right here and now? Or will we choose to remain as we are, river dancing zombies, stubborn, not Grace, she knows not. Stubbornly ignoring the tsunami rising over the horizon, which upon arrival will take our breath away, and receding, leave our bones to dry in an atmosphere too hot to imagine, whether or not we believe in our own power to believe it away. New creation or tsunami? God's ultimatum, our choice.